If you're looking for Miami Dolphins news and rumors, you're in the right place. If you were just looking for Dolphins videos, sorry, it's just me. Coming up here on today's show, I'm going to be breaking down the latest of what new head coach Mike McDaniel had to say about quarterback Tua Tagovailoa at the NFL Scouting Combine. We're also going to be talking about Emmanuel Ogbah because McDaniel also talked about him and the potential of bringing him back next season. And at the end of today's show, I saw a cool little article about some potential backups for Tua, and we'll break down all of those players and whether or not I think it would actually be a good idea. Now, the first guy that we're talking about here is, of course, the quarterback, and it's Tua, because Mike McDaniel said that he believes that his best days are ahead of him. And I'll be one of the first people to sit up here and say, I know I'm very critical of Tua. I know I'm very harsh on Tua. It's because my expectations for him were so flippin' high when he was first coming out of Alabama. Now, do I think that he could maybe be a top 10 quarterback? I definitely still think that remains to be seen. But here's what new head coach Mike McDaniel had to say on Tua. Excited moving forward because the guy has some skills that I think are untapped. I think it's important that you empower the quarterback with the rest of the players around him and the scheme you bring forth. So, I think his best days are in front of him, and that's a really cool piece of the process to be part of as a coach. So, what do y'all think here? McDaniel saying that, his best days are ahead of him. He also used the word untapped when talking about his overall athletic ability, overall his ability to be a good quarterback. So what would you be your confidence level into Tua Tagovailoa? I want you to go ahead and scale it from 1 to 10 because somewhere I sit in this area 5 to 6. If you could put a good offensive lineman around, if you could put a good running game, maybe some offensive weapons, then sure, my confidence goes up. But from what the Dolphins have right now, I have to sit here and say it's about a 5. In terms of what else Mike McDaniel had to say on just overall, not just Tua, but on maximizing his players' talents. As a coach, you're sitting there looking at each individual player, and regardless of what's happened before or what's going to happen after, as a competitor, you're saying, I want your best year attached to a year that I'm coaching you. So that's something that I think is a driving force, really, when you are able to get a player maybe a couple years in the league, but his first year in the system. That's something that our coaching staff is prepared to do and accepts that challenge and understands what it is and can take complete ownership of it. So my 2 cents on that whole, we'll say, quote from Mike McDaniel is one of the things that I always talked about previously about Shanahan and McDaniel. He's going to bring people into his system, and that's what you want. You want people who you honestly think, you know what, they might not have worked over there, but they're going to work with what we do because we create that system that is going to make that player successful. And if you're a Dolphins fan, that last quote by McDaniel should get you really excited. Here's something that should also get you excited. Free Dolphins videos for the next 365 days. We have some big, and I mean really big news coming up next week. And if you want to know what that's about, you got to hit that subscribe button and you got to turn on those notifications. But if you're a diehard Dolphins fan, whether that's around free agency, trades, regular news, to Mike McDaniel quotes, we got it all for you. So hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications because there's a lot of stuff that I do not want you to miss. Let's talk about one of the top players here on the defensive side of the football for the Dolphins. And last week I said I really truly believe it's between Emmanuel Ogbah or Mike Gesicki in terms of getting the franchise tag. If you want to give it to Gesicki, it's like $10.4 million. If you want to give it to Ogbah, it's like $20.2. In terms of should this team go out and keep Emmanuel Ogbah, I mean, he had 41 tackles last season, 9 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery. He also batted the ball down 12 times. That led the NFL in back-to-back seasons over 40 tackles, back-to-back seasons over 9 sacks. He's got a lot to bring to the table. And if you don't think what my opinion matters, well, I hopefully you think what Mike McDaniel says matters, right? Because this is what Mike McDaniel had to say about Ogbah at the NFL Scouting Combine. We want Emmanuel Ogbah, and we will do our best to get him. Our hope is that it's not the case that we lose him. If you're texting him right now, you can tell him as such. So I don't know what Emmanuel Ogbah's number is, but this is what I want you guys to do. Go down to the comment section, spam your phone number, and then that way we can start eliminating all the other phone numbers. That way we can figure out what Emmanuel Ogbah's is, and then we can text him or call him. Or I know a guy that's not afraid to send a few postcards or emails, like actual stamped emails. He's crazy, and he works here at Chat Sports. Now, here's my next question, right? Because I'm going to sit up here and say, It's always for the right price. And Ogbah's actually been one of these dudes where didn't really have too much success in the past, came to Miami and back-to-back years over 9 sacks. So should the Dolphins bring back Ogbah? I want you to type that Y for yes or N for no. For the right price, yes, absolutely. If Ogbah wants to be paid like one of the premier edge rushers in the NFL where they're getting 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 million a year, I'm going to sit here and say no. The only reason why I'd be okay for it on a franchise tag level is because it's one season and it's 20.2. If you really, really want to try to keep him around, I would say somewhere between the $13, $14 million a year range, especially if you want to get him for like a 3-4 year type of contract. Now, guys, I don't know about y'all. I know what I'm doing on March 17th. And for those of you that don't know, St. Patrick's Day is March 17th every single year. It blows my mind how many people are like, when's St. Patty's Day? Like, I get it. You guys go out, you have a good time, you don't remember. But here's the thing. I never know what to wear. And then I'm sitting there March 16th going through my closet, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to wear. All I would know is I want to wear green. If you're having that same mindset, why not go ahead, go out, get schmacked, and also rep your favorite team's gear? Whether it's a long sleeve shirt, a t-shirt, a women's sweatshirt, we got it all for you. And it's on sale right now, but you better go ahead and go to the link that you see below, which is chatsports.com/DolphinsGreen. Let's say maybe you were chugging a beer and you didn't hear that. Already getting ready for St. Patty's Day. It's chatsports.com/DolphinsGreen. That link is available for you all in the comments and in the description of today's video. The next thing coming up here is I saw an article on, I was going to say on the internet, no shit, Mitch, but I saw an article out there, I believe from Dolphins Wire, that broke down 4 quarterbacks that could be some potential backup candidates to Tua Tagovailoa, since everything that it sounds like is he's going to be the starting quarterback week 1. The 4 quarterbacks that were brought up were, the first was Tyrod Taylor. I'm not really sure what he wants to go by at this current juncture, but coming off a season where he was okay at times, but definitely a little bit better of a scrambling quarterback. Here's the other thing. If I was McDaniel, I wouldn't want to go out and find a quarterback that I would be worried could actually compete with Tua for a starting job. Let's go to the next guy. It's Marcus Mariota. Mariota didn't really get too many chances for the Raiders over the past 2 seasons. His only chance, or his only game that he played significant snaps in, was week 16 or week 17, I don't remember which one it was, 2 years ago up against the Chargers. The Raiders ended up still losing that game, but Mariota showed that he can still be a halfway decent backup in the league. Let's go to the next name here. It's Nick Mullens, and this is more built on fitting that system and getting somebody to run very similar of a system that he's used to running. So if you guys remember, Mullens was the backup quarterback to Jimmy Garoppolo on the San Francisco 49ers. Mike McDaniel has some experience working with Mullens, and I don't think he's anything special. I don't think he's anything spectacular, which maybe is what you need for a backup. And then the final name here is Mitchell Trubisky, and I'm just going to be very frank with y'all. If I was the Dolphins, I would not bring in Trubisky because personally, I think he could actually beat out Tua. It's not that I don't like Tua, and it's not that I'm a big fan of Trubisky, but Trubisky looked a lot better with the Buffalo Bills that past season working underneath Brian Daboll. He also had a winning record and helped take the Bears to the playoffs. What I really truly believe one of the reasons why Trubisky didn't turn out to be all that great, because Matt Nagy was a fraud. So I still would take Tua over Trubisky, though putting Trubisky as a backup to Tua, I do not think it's a smart decision for the Miami Dolphins if they want the most out of Tua. So what do y'all think here? Who's going to be the Dolphins' backup quarterback? Are they just going to end up bringing back Jacoby Brissett? Could absolutely be something to keep in mind. If I had to pick between the 4 quarterbacks on screen, the one that I think makes the most sense, it would actually be Marcus Mariota from a running standpoint, and the Hawaiian guys can get it together. But you guys can go ahead and let me know who's going to be the Dolphins' backup quarterback in 2022.